I'm Alexia Haramis and I head up the Edinburgh Chamber International Department. Welcome today to today's live webinar on business resilience lessons from China. It's really encouraging to see such a range of members across so many sectors participating in today's session. The increasing spread of the coronavirus across countries has prompted many governments to introduce unprecedented measures to contain the epidemic. In a rapidly moving environment, it's extremely difficult to accurately quantify the economic impact of these measures, but it is clear that they imply very sharp contractions in spending, investment, and trade. The Edinburgh Chamber is keen to hear firsthand from China's business community on how China's rapid response has seen the virus brought under control for now within 3 months. And it is encouraging to hear the latest news on the lifting of the lockdown restrictions in Wuhan. We're keen to hear today about the impacts of the outbreak and on the impacts of the various sectors and whether, as China recovers from the pandemic, if its economy will follow. We have invited the Edinburgh-Shenzhen Creative Exchange to take part in today's event, whom we have built a strong partnership with. This has really come about from the friendship agreement between the two cities. We work collaboratively with our friends in Shenzhen on bilateral trade missions, and thank Jennifer and Evelyn for working with us to offer a panel of business leaders in Shenzhen to take part in today's webinar. The format of today's event is straightforward. This session will be chaired by Jim Galloway, Founding Director of Edinburgh Global Limited and experienced Shenzhen partner. Jennifer Fan, Director of the Shenzhen Creative Investment Group, will talk of her experience in supporting the business community in Bao'an. And we will also hear from 3 Shenzhen-based business leaders. This webinar is an interactive session, so please put forward your questions to the panel. I'm pleased to hand over now to Jim Galloway, Director of Edinburgh Global. Thank you.
Unmute myself. Thank you very much, Alexia. We are delighted to see so many people join us this morning for what I hope will be a very interesting session. As Alexia says, I was until November the Head of Enterprise and Innovation with the City of Edinburgh Council, and I was deeply involved with the friendship agreement between Edinburgh and Shenzhen. I've had, I think, 7 or 8 trips out to Shenzhen and met Jennifer at the very beginning of the process. We've worked together for many years. And Jennifer, now, can you please introduce your colleagues in Shenzhen that form the panel? Thank you.
It's Jennifer. I'm from the Edinburgh-Shenzhen Creative Exchange. I'm working on this Shenzhen projects for 5 years already. So I also been to Edinburgh many times. So Edinburgh is like my second home. So we're also very sorry to hear what happened in UK for the coronavirus. So what we can do, just help more people. We can unite together and to solve this. I think it's a big war for us right now. So it's my pleasure to introduce my my friends in Shenzhen. First will be Stephen. Hi. He working on the medical instruments this area for many years, and he also been to Edinburgh with us in 2016 and 2017. And I think he will introduce more about himself later. And my another friend is from Anna Wu. Anna, she's working on the tourism industry. She's from the Shenzhen Digital Tiger company. So they do a lot create digital media for a lot of theme parks, exhibitions, place. So she has a lot of experience on this field, creative field. And another friend I invited today is Amber Peng. Amber, she's studying University of Edinburgh before. She worked in top 5 senior HR. So she doing a lot experience with this virus for the with the employees. So she has a lot of experience as well. So also welcome she join us. So this is our team today.
Yeah.
Thank you to Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. So for the main part of the session, I want to look at 4 main themes around how companies have maintained contact and supported their employees during the crisis, how companies have diversified their business models and as a result of the pandemic, and also how companies have managed to keep in touch with their customers, clients, and especially suppliers and their supply chain. And then lastly, we'll look at maybe how Shenzhen have prepared and how businesses have prepared for the recovery. So I'm going to start off by posing the first question. How have you supported your employees during the COVID-19 crisis? And I'm going to ask Amber, as an HR specialist, to talk a little bit about that.
Hello, everyone. I am an HR and training professional in tech industry. I feel very honored to share some practices which have helped us in this crisis. I guess most companies' goals are to guarantee daily operations and employees' safety at the same time. Looking back, I think 3 rules had helped us in dealing with the crisis. First is to respond quickly and prepare for the worst. I think the top management is very important. Our top management set up a team to keep company updated about the crisis and guide all the relevant parties' work, like HR, administration, legal affairs department, and PR department, so that we can respond quickly according to the latest situation or policy. For example, right after the outbreak of COVID-19, when many companies were sitting on the fence, we decided to send back employees' computers and buy face masks, medical alcohol, etc. This action saved us a lot of time and money. And till now, we have kept collecting all employees' health conditions and locations every day. There are also body temperature monitoring at the entrance of a company building, and there are temperature testing every afternoon. Those who traveled to other cities or has a high temperature cannot enter our building and have to quarantine. So this is the first rule. Second, we have to make everybody on the same page. It's very important. In this crisis, a lot of employees feel panic, actually. The pace of daily work was interrupted, even while working from home. So our business was also affected, and our employees were very worried. So in this time, management has become very crucial. As for our company, first, we make our management more flat. Our CEO sent employees open letter describing our strategic objectives and difficulties during this crisis. We also had top managers doing live meetings among business units, addressing our plans and answering employees' questions. So we don't have to like pass our information through a lot of layers. Second, HR produced and purchased relevant online courses for top and line managers, like crisis management and how to make a remote, how to manage a remote team, etc. We also, just as in HR, we also interviewed excellent managers and promote their experiences among our leaders. This year, our leadership development program, the topic has focused on change management and profitability. Third, as HR, I think during this crisis, it is very good for companies to be far-sighted and handle employees' relation carefully. During this crisis, people actually become physically and mentally vulnerable. Showing care to employees will make us stronger as a team dealing with difficulties. Don't do things that harm employers' brand. I think this is very important. The crisis will be over, but the complaints online will remain. This is our experience. For example, we keep offering free masks and office medical care. We have a team that keeps in touch with staff isolated in Wuhan and offer continuous help and care to them. Recently, Wuhan's lockdown was lifted. We organized their trips back to the office. As a result, although it cost some money, but we make our employees happy. It is very important to make them happy. And they also become more productive at work. It is worthwhile, I think, because this is a very wise move to show care as much as possible to make our employee happy and they will actually work more productively. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next question then. So the next question is about diversification of business models. So obviously in a crisis, you can't continue as normal. So I wondered if Stephen could talk about how he has diversified his business model and if there are other examples that he can talk about that have seen some success in terms of diversity.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, Mr. Ross. It's great to see you guys again. Well, before I jump right into the question itself, I want to add a little bit label as a background for myself. So for the past decades, we were deeply rooted in the life science, medical device, healthcare industry in terms of R&D, manufacturing, and sales. So we are much related to this crisis, actually, especially as a sales distributor or the sales agent within the region. So how we diversify our business model. So for the past 2 months, what had happened in China here, I was like, it took me about a week or 10 days to really digest. How are we going to move on? How are we going to fulfill the goals that we set way before this? So optimistically, we set a bit of sales goals to meet, and also some R&D project to get going, new production lines and everything like that. So after this 2 months, especially, how I digest this COVID-19 crisis. So it took me about 10 days to reallocate my resources, especially also my management team, especially the sales people. So we set goals for short-term, mid-term, and also long-terms for, the orders that we set way before this. So it is very unfortunate, but also surprising. And, it's just like a roller coaster ride each single day. So in terms of the short-term goal we set it's mainly for our sales staffs. So we have a team about sales personnel for about 15 people. So for the short term, so as we're very deeply rooted, especially as a role of a distributor within the region. So we turn ourselves into supplier of all the supplies related to the COVID-19. So, for example, masks, thermometers, and also any other products related to this crisis. So, for the short term, we actually finished supplying, locally within China. Also, we were a registered government supplier way before this. So, because based on our past cooperative business relationship with all our suppliers, so we can easily get trustworthy and quality masks, all the supplies related to the crisis. So we do our best to get our sales personnel or the group, the team to work back together. Just forget about the goals we set from last year. Just focus on the crisis itself. So we need to get ourselves going through this crisis, which is very unfortunate. So for the short term, we met several goals of us that was set before about a month ago. So we successfully supplied, to the government, to the local hospital, frontline workers as well, and also some distributor of or past business partners. So that was our short-term goal which we fulfilled already. As the situation get worse these days, so we turn our focus, to the overseas market. So that would be my midterm goal for especially the sales personnel. So within this period of time, for R&D, for manufacturing of our own branded products, everything has got delayed. The school, the university, and also the labs, the technology sector of the government, everything pretty much just shut down, or at least they won't start the projects that they were before. So for short term and also midterm goal, I try to set was basically our sales teams. So for the midterm, we also started to supply to be a supplier of all these products related to COVID-19 to the overseas market now, as we finish supplying Scotland, Edinburgh actually, with a few thermometers and also masks and also other products related to this crisis, and also South Africa, Johannesburg, Indonesia, Australia. So overseas market would be our midterm goal. So the focus would be on our sales team. So we are not trying to make profit out of it. So why I set goal for short term and midterm for the salespeople is actually more of a company culture, company morale. So try to get our staff to this is really unfortunate. It's very fair to everybody, of course, very unfortunate, but we need to keep the business going. So we are not trying to max our profit out of it, but we're just, because we are very much related to this industry, so we got to do something. And you salespeople and the staffs, all the colleagues of mine will be, actually will need to act more actively in terms of as a supplier. So that's how we got involved with, and also turn our set our goal or reset the goals like we said before. So that's how we deal with the midterm. For the long term, it would be as a whole company. So we need to make sure that the R&D projects are still there, and we need our engineer to get back to work, and also the production, the factory part, all the workers need to take orders from our distributor. That would be the long term. So the long term would be more like getting back the whole business into normal, although that would be the new normal at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much how I set goals or diversify my business operation.